In this video, I'm going to show you how to set up agents inside of Claude Code so you can systematize a lot of the processes, calling MCPs, various different things inside of Claude Code. Anytime you say, hey, run this process, the agent will go and run it for you. So let's dive right in. So you start with Claude Code, you type Claude, open up Claude Code, and it's actually really simple to create an agent. So first I'm going to show you how to do it, and then we're actually going to build one live. So the first thing you're going to do is do /agents. And then you'll see the various agents that you have. You're going to click create a new agent here, click enter. I always recommend project agents as opposed to personal agents. They seem to work a lot better and they never break. So I'm going to click enter on projects, and then you can do manual configuration or generate with Claude. I always use generate with Claude. And then you have the agent here and you describe what you want it to do. That's pretty much it. And once we describe what we want it to do, the agent will be built. But the really cool thing is actually when you start building out processes with these agents. And so let's say that I have this, I have various different agents and I want to, or various different MCP servers that I want to use. So maybe something I could say is, let's say I want to, create an agent that, uses my Slack or, something where it maybe gets the MCP call wrong the first time. So what I could do is you could see I have this kind of like content process. I'm going in, I'm using the Notion MCP. One thing that I could do is once you're finished like having a long conversation with Claude, what you do is you say something like, now based on this entire content process and how we kind of went from idea to where we are now, I want you to build out a content agent that will run this process for me. It will ask me questions. It will search the hooks database inside of Notion. It will use that MCP. It will auto memory save at various different parts of the process. And then it will basically use the YouTube transcript MCP or the Vibe marketing MCP to do extra content research along the way. So I want you to basically turn this entire process, first define what the process is, and then write a comprehensive Claude agent prompt to actually build this out. Make sure you include instructions on how to call each of the MCPs, when to call the MCPs, what questions to ask the user during different parts of the content process, and what types of information you're looking for. And so a lot of times when you're like going through this process, you kind of learn what works best, and you can basically just tell it what you want it to do. Now, once you finish a conversation, you ask it to create this prompt. I'm going to pause this video while it creates. It'll probably take about a minute. And then we'll take this prompt, and this will be like the customized agent process that we use that knows which different MCPs to call, how, in what order, and so on and so forth. Okay, so here we go. It output this entire prompt with all the MCPs, the best way to call them, the different process, etc., etc. And so I'm going to take this, and then I'm going to go into this other tab, and I'm going to paste this in here. I'm going to click enter, and it's going to start creating this agent for me. It's going to generate it from that. Right? And so while this is generating the agent, we had it kind of output the entire thing here. An extra kind of pro tip is you can actually create commands that then trigger agents, right? So you can say, hey, go run this process for me, and it will use an agent to run the process. But you can also create these commands. So like / I have all these commands in here, create, hooks, journal. But I want to show you how to create that as well, because a lot of times it might not auto detect what agent you want to use. So you can create a command that basically tells it to trigger agents. And then the really cool thing here is that you can start chaining agents together. So you can create a command, and inside of the instructions for that command, you can say first trigger this agent, then trigger this agent, then trigger this agent, and you can start like having the agents feed into each other. But let's say something like, awesome, now let's create a command called / content process that will trigger this. I think I already have a content command. It's weird that it didn't paste a / icon, but I'm gonna delete this / content - process. So if I go in here, boom, content process. There we go. And so if we do this, it will go and it will create, there's a commands folder and there's an agents folder, and they both the commands can relate to the agents. So while this, let's see if the agent is finished yet. It is. All right, so it finished creating the agent, and then it will say select tools. I just click continue. I usually just use Sonnet. You choose like a background, maybe we have like yellow or something, and then you'll just click save. So now we have this agent, the tutorial workflow guide. I think that was what it was called, yeah. Tutorial workflow guide. Then what you'll need to do in order to trigger this agent is you need to close out of the window and create a new window with Claude, right? And now I could say trigger the tutorial workflow guide for a tutorial about how to use AI to enhance your productivity. So maybe that's the video I want to create. And then you'll see it's going to trigger that agent. So it's going to wait, it's going to find the agent. But the easier way is if you want to chain agents together, you'll create commands. So here's the content, commands, content process. So it'll just say, do you want to create that file inside of the commands? And you'll just say yes. I'll show you as this goes, tutorial workflow.md. Right, so it's actually using a workflow. And so this is where the commands comes in handy, right? So now we have the content process command, right? So the same thing, you'll need to exit out of here and create a new window. And then what you'll do is I'll do the content process command, right? So now the content process command should trigger the tutorial workflow agent. What's the title for this tutorial? It's called Use AI to 10x your productivity. A little cheesy, but... And then we'll see that it should trigger this agent now. All right, so what is the hook? Just, you're using AI wrong. You can see it's following this process. Now the one thing is, when this command runs, make sure that it automatically triggers the tutorial workflow agent. This is very important. Again, like sometimes you need to update it, but you just need to make sure that it triggers the agent. All right, so let me see this one. All right. And I wonder if it's because agents, tutorial, content repurposer. Is the agent named something else? YouTube title, research hooks. I think I need to create a new tab. Sometimes you need to fully exit out of the terminal. Let's see if it works now. Content repurpose, tutorial workflow guide. Yeah, so let's see if it triggers it inside of this window. All right, so it says auto execute. All right, so yes, I want to update it. So if it doesn't work, you just say, hey, update the command, and then it will update the markdown file for you, and it will update how that agent is triggered. We can see here it's updating how it was triggered. You can, allow it to kind of update the commands. And so once it updates, we'll test it out again. See if it's updating. Boom. So now let's try it again. Content process. Sometimes you just need to go back and forth with it. But once you get the command file and the agent set up, let's make sure that it triggers this agent. First example. I wonder if it like has the process phase one. I see it has like the process, and then it triggers the agent. But anyway, you can get the idea, right? Like let's say, for example, let's say I run the research agent, like research titles agent. You trigger that command and then it just triggers that markdown file. So you can see here, boom, it just triggered that agent. You could see the like IG research hooks on Instagram. Boom, it triggers a bunch of MCP servers, right? I'll launch the agent. So I'm not sure. It's probably because I need to fully quit out of Claude Code, which I don't want to do because I have like 20 tabs open and I need to save them all first. But eventually it will trigger this agent. You'll have commands that can trigger agents, but you now understand how to create these agents, how to do all these things. and how to get these agents to work for you. So I hope you found that valuable. If you want more advanced ways of doing this, I have a community where we talk about some of the more advanced workflows. Like this is the content agent that I was building out, which basically has access to all my content, hooks, notes, etc. I have all these different MCP servers, and they all kind of interact with each other. And you can see like the different ways that it goes, finding trends using MCPs, turning that into outlier detection, content analysis, hook generation. This is like the content system. There's like planning my day. I show you how to build all of those in the community down below. So you can go here and you can go to these modules, actually learn how to do that, learn how to set these up. I call it the Life OS system inside of Claude Code. And so I'll teach you how to build systems like this that have a bunch of agents, have a bunch of MCP servers, a bunch of processes that connects them all, that increases the quality of how you use Claude as your kind of like, orchestrator for your entire life, right? And so that's kind of how to use it. So thank you so much for watching. I hope you found tons of value in this, and I'll see you in the next video.